Don't cross the stream.
Anybody else want to negotiate?
Not make a sound until I tell you to run.
Are you trying to make me look stupid in front of the other guests?
I need any help from me, sir.
That's right.
Hello and welcome to Is It Streaming, the podcast where we choose a movie from the endless queue and help you decide if it's a hidden gem, a waste of time, or worth adding to your watch list. Previously, we had discussed the first half of the 2025 horror action film Sinners, and today we are continuing our discussion about that film. I am joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Silvia Graziano and John Mostich. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. How you feeling, Silvia? Ready to go?
I'm tired. I'm tired as fuck.
Are you tired of this movie, Sinners, Silvia, or just tired?
Just tired, man. You can't get tired of this film.
But, you know, we have actually watched this movie more than I think I've watched any movie in the last 5 years. Just repeatedly watching it because we had a few times we did this podcast that we had to re-record, but it was worth it.
Yeah, and when we get to our actual, reviews at the end of this episode, what you said, John, I think really is going to affect my rating of this film, because I feel like just having to break this down and do this episode so many times, I feel like it really, it almost skewed my view of this film, but we'll definitely get more into that at the end during our review section. So, as you all might remember, just to recap real quick, the twins Smoke and Stack, played by Michael B. Jordan, they are returning to their hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi, and this is the opening night of their juke joint, aptly named Club Juke. In the time leading up to the opening of the club, we've seen the twins reconnect with their long-lost loves, as well as meet up with their blues-playing cousin, Sammy. We can't forget to mention we also met the villain of this story, the vampire Remick. We left off last episode right before Remick and his musical vampire trio approached the juke joint. So let's catch up with Remick and his fellow vampires.
You fellers must be the owners of this establishment.
That's right. And you are?
Name's Remick. This here's Joan and Bert.
It's that yellow, right?
Oh, and you. Must be that voice I heard from out here. Oh, it was beautiful.
Goddamn beautiful voice.
Even through these walls.
Where y'all from?
Just down the road.
And how far is that?
North Carolina.
Y'all clan?
Sir. Well, no, we believe in equality and music. We just came here to play. Spend some money, have a good time. Here, I'll show you. I pick poor, I've been clean. Pick poor, I've been clean. I pick his head, I pick his feet.
First of all, I just want to say that song is very appropriate. I mean, what a perfect song to be literally like, it is like serenading. It's like, that is fucked up, man.
This is a traditional American folk song with roots in the antebellum South. It was popularized more widely by the artist Taj Mahal, and it also appears in a repertoire of old-time fiddle and banjo players. Very much a racist kind of a connotation to a lot of these overall piece of the song. It is a perfect song, Sylvia, you're right. It hits home, but what I love about this is where you see the people in the background are more worried about this song than, I forget if it's Smoke or Stack in the corner there. But Smoke
is like, the one humming along.
He's digging it, man. But everybody in the background is kind of like, this is not good. They got a sense. My favorite part of that scene, though, is the woman says, when she's commenting on the music that she heard, she said, "It's goddamn beautiful." And I'm like, what a perfect little subtle cue, right?
Yeah.
Like she brings in a devilish phrase in describing the music.
Yeah, and I think the whole vibe of the levity to this, but then also the deeper meaning behind everything, I think that's one of the best parts of this film. It's the most fun parts of this film. I think eventually we'll get to the scene where Cornbread tries to get back in, and he has a lot of levity in that scene too. And for this being a horror film, there's the standard, gore and vampire biting and that type of stuff. And in the opening scene, obviously, where Sammy is returning to the church, they do those awesome jump cuts. That's probably, I would say, the most scary or typical horror type of thing where you're actually kind of jumping. The rest of this stuff, it's really in the background that I honestly love. Like, these are some of my favorite scenes of the whole film just because they're so layered and you're kind of like, man, like, Remick is the villain at this point. And all of us as viewers, we have that over the characters of this film, right? Everybody else that we've seen doesn't know that these are the villains.
Obviously, there is an ominous feeling they're getting, right? There's definitely the hairs in the back of their neck. I'm sure they can sense something is a little off with this trio. So
we've met Remick 2 times, right? The first time he meets the couple, and right away he preys upon their racist behavior, and they have the Klan outfit, and he kind of knows, oh, I can talk bad about these Cherokee. So he already is manipulating their emotions by, I don't want to call him charming, but he's kind of like already weaving his way into finding out what they like and becoming that thing. And the same thing here, he sees. Do you guys think he's charming in this?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Remick is very
extremely
charming. Yeah, Remick is very charming. I mean, you can see, we'll get into it later, but there's a lot of interesting discussion about Remick and what he represents and how I think audiences view him, right? Like, he is the antagonist, right? But a lot of people also see him. He is also a victim when you look at, aspects of history too, right? And this is what we'll end up talking about this, I think, a little bit more, later.
I'll debate you on it. He's kind of a jerk. He kills a bunch of people, so I don't really care.
But they don't know that. They don't know that yet.
Yeah, but he's very charming in this, especially. I think he automatically goes, oh, they're playing music. We can play this cute tune. You automatically go like, hey, I know this is maybe not the best song. He's a bad guy, but that's a catchy little beat he's got going.
Yeah.
And they have the little dance number, and it's just really well done. However, I do take a little issue with, how did he get them trained so quickly to play this music? I guess they had the symbiotic...
it's the hive mind.
The hive mind.
Yeah.
It's the classic musical trope, right? Where someone starts playing in the studio and then everyone magically knows all of the bass lines, the guitar lines, and the chorus, right?
I'd love to have that ability.
Me too.
Like, I got this.
Sign me up. Yeah, John, you hit on a good point there, right? Is when we first meet Remick and he's approaching the home of 2 other people of this magical trio here, right? He sees the Ku Klux Klan outfit, and then he uses that as manipulation to be like, oh, these Indians are behind it, and like kind of like bonds on their racism. And here he's saying, we have money to spend, which obviously we know the whole economic status of, them having a juke joint for us by us. And also when they start talking about how they aren't actually making very much money because people are paying with money from the plantations, which is only able to use at the general store in town. He's also like, we have money to spend, and can't we all just be family? But, just as I had a lot of empathy for when he was so sincere when he was trying to get into the house at the very beginning, in this one, it kind of does take a turn because there is a real discussion about whether he really wants them to be family. It's kind of a manipulation, but we kind of find out that ends up being pretty true further along in this film.
Irish beer, Italian wine. You brought both sides. Let them blame each other while you and Smoke come down here and set up shop. You're gonna need every dime you can get when they put 2 and 2 together.
But they won't.
They might.
Well, I ain't going to Mount Bayou. My daddy a reverend, but I'm y'all cousin too. And a lot more people know the Smokestack twins than they know my daddy.
Yeah? Well, you better enjoy the rest of the night, because this your last juke.
You ain't in no position to tell me how to live my life.
Let me go talk to them and see about putting something real on the till. Come on.
Come tomorrow, I'll find out about you playing in one of these. Boy, I'll kill you myself.
Look, I'm leaving that plantation just like y'all did. And if that's a problem for you, kill me now.
So I'm not crazy about that. Like I like that scene. I do like that all of a sudden we've been put. First time we were seeing our young guitar player feel that, oh man, these guys actually might kill me. Right? That's that powerful moment. Don't like the lines he uses because he says I'm a military man, and so you just gave me an order. But he actually didn't. He said, if you don't trust me, do it. So he basically gave him an option. It wasn't an order. He didn't say, "You've got to kill me." Anyway, that bugged me a little bit in this scene because it was very well crafted up to that. And then that just took me out of it. For whatever reason, it's just a stupid thing.
And just for some backstory here for the viewers and listeners, earlier in this scene, about a minute before, Smoke and Sammy are having a conversation where Smoke is talking about how him and Stack originally went to a town in Mississippi that was a black-only town where there was a free town of black people, and they tried to stay there and set up shop before they had either gone off to war or gone off to Chicago. And unfortunately, their father had such a terrible reputation for being an evil man. The reputation followed them to Mount Bayou. So they were not allowed by the townspeople to stay there. So Stack is having a conversation with Sammy saying, listen, your father is a preacher. He has a good reputation. You need to go to Mount Bayou and pretty much live the life that me and Stack were not able to do. And you need to leave all of this horrible, evil shit behind. And the horrible, evil shit, which we see from Mary's character calling out, which I honestly love all of the female characters in this. There are so many strong female characters in this, and they are calling the bullshit. They know the behind the scenes. They are calling Smoke and Stack out almost in every scene. And she's saying, you guys went to Chicago. One of you guys was with the Irish mob. One of you guys was with the Italian mob. You guys, stole from both of them and pinned it on each other. And then you guys thought you were so fucking smart and you're just going to come down here and you're accepting your own juke joint. She's just calling them on her bullshit. I really enjoyed that. And the other thing I really do like about this scene is, when the Smokestack twins, after they get their truck at the very beginning that's hidden in the cornfields, they split up, right? And we do have the two corresponding stories, but this is the only scene I think that we really have the fast cuts between both storylines here. It's a very unique scene for this film. But also, too, like you were saying, John, this is where Sammy's kind of realizing that, like, oh, Smoke and Stack, even though they are my cousin and their family, like, they are very dangerous people. And not dangerous in the fact that they might hurt other people. They might hurt me. And at the end of this, he's pointing a gun in his face. It is a very unique scene in this film.
But ultimately, too, even being threatened like this, there is still so much temptation. Again, this film is called Sinners. There's so many elements of what sinners, like the layers of what it takes to be a sinner, right? And Sammy is still very tempted, even having a gun, I think, to his head, essentially. He's like, this is definitely a better life than I've been living right now.
So Sammy's tempted by what? From the
danger
fame and the lifestyle?
I think a little bit is danger, is definitely freedom, because he doesn't feel that way here. Literally his preacher father is like, this is the road you're going to take. This is the thing. Remember, we ultimately say it's like religion or the blues, right?
Because early in this film, when they show Sammy first getting off his work at the plantation and he did his day's allotment, he has a conversation with his father where he's like, oh, where are you going tonight? Where are you going to be tomorrow? And blah, blah. He's like, I just worked a full week. Like, I want to go out and be free. I want to go play music and have fun. And it's like, that's kind of a running theme here, right? Is that what are Smoke and Stack trying to do? They're trying to make a life for themselves outside of this current situation that they had. And what is Sammy's father doing? Saying, I don't care that you are working on the plantation and you're pretty much, a slave at this point, even though you're quote unquote free. You are a slave economically, and I still want you to be a slave to the church. Like, pretty much give up all these talents you have, or just use your talents in a good way for the church, which I feel like Sammy feels like that's kind of being a slave into itself, right?
Sammy's like every youth of every year, like, oh man, I don't want to do that, Dad. And the dad's like, no, you've got to live the way I lived. And I, no, Dad, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. I'm going to wear leather jackets.
You dangle temptation like that, like every child, every youth, like every young person is going to want to grasp for it. It's just so much more intriguing, right? Look at the way, Smoke and Stack live. It's like, that has to feel so exciting to Sammy, right? It's such a different life.
Yeah, and it's that whole thing, right, where people watch the movie Scarface and then people want to be Tony Montana, and you're like, guys, it's not a good idea to be Tony Montana, but the lifestyle is so appealing. It's that same type of thing, right?
We did the podcast on Wall Street, and we all talked about like how afterwards everybody was emulating this really terrible human being, but that lifestyle feels so, the sin of it, right, is wants you to desire all those crazy times. And poor Sammy, he had to work really hard, so he does deserve to blow up some steam, man.
I know. Honestly, I'm like, dude, yeah, enjoy your time. Drink, have sex,
Do whatever.
play your music.
And not only that, right? He's gifted with this curse, right? His music ability is the thing that draws the vampires to the juke joint, right? Yeah, the gift and the curse of his musical ability. So the other thing that we really haven't harped on too much in this scene is the money, right? So Remick and his musical trio of vampires said, we have money to spend, right? And now we're realizing that, the juke joint isn't making as much money because they're getting the tokens from the plantation. So what does Mary say? Let me go see about their money. And then he says, I'm not going to send you out there. And then she says, well, they're going to tell me, a quote unquote white person, even though she has black lineage in her bloodline, they're going to tell me a lot more stuff than they're going to tell you, right? So now this is where we really start hammering in the idea of this racism and also the money that comes attached to all of these situations that are happening in the South.
We kind of learned Smoke and Stack are not the best businessmen. They have not made a really good business.
They're not very good
yet.
with the money. Yeah, the money.
I mean, they're throwing money around so easily, and then within the same day, they're like, "We're broke. We're broke. We're gonna be broke in a month."
I don't know.
What time are we going to go broke? Oh, by 8:30, maybe 9
Evening.
o'clock.
Yeah. Right. And meanwhile, they were earlier convincing the girl that was sitting in the car, have her upsell them on her security abilities and how much they're going to pay her for watching the car. Yeah, it's great.
They didn't even negotiate with the guy for the barn. They were like, yeah, here's a stack of money. It was probably even more than he asked for. He just walked away.
And they had him at gunpoint. They probably could have been like, we want it for half off, you know?
We could have done a lot of things.
I'm wondering if it's because they came about that money very easily, right? They basically stole it from the mob.
Yeah.
They did.
So I'm
100%.
wondering if their mindset is almost like, hey, we want to get rid of this money as soon as we get it and start earning our own real money, or if they just felt like they could always just turn another page, constantly like living on the edge of being broke and rich at the same time.
You know what's funny is like, because I've been watching Peaky Blinders too, you know, and sort of this is idea of the gang life, right? There's like sort of like how many, it's like eventually, and even when I think about The Godfather, these families or gangs, you know, whatever you want to call these sort of communities that are kind of working in illegal manners, eventually want to go legit. They definitely want to be legitimate eventually. I think with Smoke and Stack is a similar thing. It's like, yes, it started with stolen money, but I think coming back to their hometown is like trying to get the respect now from the community and like doing good for the community. This is the thing. They wanted to come back to bring a juke joint because they wanted to create a community. Again, this is about bringing people together, even though it started with stolen money.
Which is really what Remick's all about too.
Even when we meet Delta Slim, right, they're willing to throw around money in order to get the best of the best there. They're just assuming that they throw as much money in there, they get the best, you know, food and everything like that. Everything's going to start rolling in because they've created this community, right? But to tack on to the Godfather analogy that you were saying, Silvia, you know, when you try to get out, they pull you back in. So what's happening, right, is that the socioeconomic and the slavery situation that's happening here is like, even that they've created this successful, quote unquote, because people are spending their money there. What's happening? It's not money they can spend outside of their community. They can't probably even get the beer or any of that stuff inside their community in order to keep this, you know, this facade of this freedom going, right? They just keeps on getting pulled back into this racism that's keeping all of these black people down.
Delta Slim actually even tells Stack, like, hey, you may be able to pay me this money tonight, but you will not be able to sustain this in the future. This is just not how it works. So I always love that line. I love that call out. It's even that delivery is just perfect.
It's interesting because Smoke and Stack they do have connection in the town, but there's no stakes in this town. They're showing up and they already left. They gave up this life. They have nothing holding them there except for the women in their lives, obviously, which they were willing to leave already. So now they've come back. There's no stakes. They can just throw stuff around, no connections whatsoever. If it fails, they'll probably just move on and do something else. Meanwhile, you have these people, especially Sammy, Delta Slim, and all the women in this. They are locked in. This is their day-to-day lives. They don't have escape plans, and it's not as easy to just pack up and leave as these two rich black men, unfortunately. All right, so now let's catch up with Mary as she's convinced Stack to let her go talk to Remick.
Because you're in some deep, deep pain that money can't fix. Am I right? You came over here for fellowship and love.
Fellowship and love.
My mother... She just passed.
Oh, that's awful.
Just awful.
Just awful.
Losing a mother's a hurting feeling.
I wish in my heart that we'd have met sooner. I would have liked to have saved your mother from her fate. I can still save you from yours.
Oh, now you must have me confused. I'm sad as all, but I don't need no saving.
Yes. Yes, you do. You all do.
With that scene, I find that to be a beautiful scene, very haunting. You have this moment where, oh man, is this a moment now between Mary and Remick? Like they're sharing a moment, right? And then Remick turns around to place his banjo away. And when he turns back to face the camera, we see the eyes and we see the drool, right?
Yep.
And we know something is amiss, obviously. The one thing about that scene is that I personally would have been happier with not even having the drool. I think the eyes would have been just enough. It's just that little twinkle of something is off. Like we were looking at him just a second before and he turns around, turns his back, and then we see him again. And we're like, we just need a little hint, a subtlety to something is off. So the drool for me was just a little bit over. Yeah,
Agreed. And the drool is featured in the later scene, right? Where Stack is actually killed by Mary once she's turned. And I think you're absolutely right, Sylvia. If we just had the eyes in this one, because we don't have the eyes in that scene where she is killing Stack, but he does call out that she's drooling. So I think that would have been a great choice.
To me, I do like the drool because it kind of comes in later and it would have been like, oh, where did this drool come from? But I would have liked to like
at that point, right?
75% less drool than that would have been.
Too much drool. Yeah.
I think it was just too much. You're kind of like, what just happened here? You know, you're like,
Remick needs
literally
a bib.
turn away.
So,
he needs a bib.
I do love that.
It was a little much. Yeah.
The shine in the eyes. I learned that they did that with using contact lenses that were colored.
Yes, and we're going to have a behind the scenes featurette scene later in this episode that's going to go into how they made those contact lenses. Really cool.
Those contact lenses, like I just love the effect it gives. It's just subtle enough. Like you have to kind of be like really looking for it because there's already subtlety in Remick's behavior. First of all, the gold. We already know something is weird, but you're like, who's using gold these days, right? This man is not from this time.
The other thing that I loved about that scene, which you described it great, Sylvia, which is haunting, right? All of these are there's background tones of, fear, and something is amiss in this. And I love, I don't know the woman in this scene. She's one of the Remick's trio. I don't know her actual character name, but I love how she is like his chorus. She'll like say what he says right after him, just like they were doing like a musical thing. You're kind of like, what is going on with these weird people? Like, there's no way Mary was not picking up on these subtle undertones of something weird is happening right now.
The trio, I believe that the two members of his trio are real life musicians, actually. So, yeah, which I think
that's
is
how they
awesome.
learned how to play.
Yeah.
I was going to note.
Wasn't magic.
Remick is up to his old tricks here, right? The third time we meet him. And what does he do? He finds out about her real pain of her mother. He starts drawing her in. If he's a fisherman, though, he tried to set the hook a little too early.
Yeah.
Like he was like, okay, I think I got her. I got her the money. I talked about her mother. Now it's time to set the hook. But then he drooled all over the place and that freaked her out. So,
The drool just really takes everybody out,
And even his sidekick was throwing too much chum in the water where he's like, losing a mom's a hurting feeling. You're like, no fucking shit, dude. Duh.
Yeah, a little too much. But in this scene, if you look at each shot, there's so much black that fills this frame. There's streaks of fog in the background. The faces are really what's so important in this. So you can see like such subtle shades of blues again. It's and I think they do that nicely with the fog. Always adds such a nice element in the background where the light kind of hits it in a randomized way, a very diffused way. So each of these shots are almost perfect. And the gentleman behind where he's got a light and a big light pole that looks like a cross, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it is a cross. Am I correct? It's like a telephone pole.
I think it's just a telephone pole. It's that setup. That scene is gorgeous, right?
but it feels very much like he's trying to be superior and religious, kind of a character in the background, yet he's not. He's clearly not.
I mean,
so maybe that's
he's pretty much acting like a priest, right? Where he's like, I could make all your pain go away. I could have saved your mother. And you're like, well,
yeah, he's playing the savior, right? At this point.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He is.
And he kind of becomes that.
That's what he wants to be. I mean, this is the thing.
That's what he wants to think he is.
He's the hero. He is the hero of his own story. Remick is a fascinating villain. I mean, the only thing here that we understand, right, at this point, if we are Mary, right, is that there's something off with them. Obviously, we got crazy eyes and we got drool, right? And so she's like, I'm done. She just pulls out the gun and she's like, step back. Like, you are not welcome. You just stay right here. Do not follow me. So the biggest mistake is, I think, turning your back on such weird creeps. So, and what we learn at that point, and it's such a brilliant sort of cut, is that as soon as she starts walking away from the trio, we see Remick in the background literally just take flight. And the audio is cut. It is like dead silent, right? So we see him mid-flight. We never see him touch the ground, but we immediately cut to Pearline jumping onto the stage and singing her very first notes. And it's so brilliant.
Ooh.
I'm going to head back now, and I think y'all should too. Back to wherever y'all came from.
All right, so now Mary has gone back into the juke joint. She has been turned to a vampire, unbeknownst to everyone inside of the juke joint, and she hunts down Stack to pull him aside and say, hey, listen, I want to pretty much have sex with you. Pulls him into a back room, and while they're having sex, she starts drooling, just like Remick, and then you see the bite on the back of her neck. She's been turned to a vampire.
I like that he is into it. He's like, that's cool. Yeah, you want to drool in my mouth?
Yeah, he's
I
like,
love it.
hey, babe, you're
She's
drooling.
like, you want some? And he's like, yeah, I do. I want some drool.
Everyone's got their kink, everyone's got.
I didn't know I was
But
into.
also, too, I do, the whole thing of the sinners, right? The trope of a horror movie, right, is the people that have sex die. It doesn't happen to everyone in this movie. It happens to 90% of everyone that has sex in this movie, except for Sammy, right? Sammy does have sex, but he doesn't die. Everyone else that has sex dies. So I do feel like that it is an appropriate trope that they're using in here. But get into that scene a little bit more. Mary says to him pretty much like, oh, you could steal all this money and stuff, but you can't steal this pussy for one night. And obviously we know the backstory now, right? Is that Stack sent her away to live with a white man so that she could be a white person, right? Even though he loved her. And now she's using that just like Remick does, right? She's manipulating the situation to be like, oh, you're a big, bad, tough guy. Take me tonight. And then obviously that leads to her murdering Stack.
I want to see a horror movie where if you don't have sex, then you die. That everybody has to have sex all the time or you die.
So it's like the opposite of like It Follows.
The opposite.
Yeah, exactly. It Falls
That's
is
great.
a brilliant film, actually. It's really...
It is. We'll have to talk about that one. It doesn't fall apart with the rules it sets up at some points, but I saw that in the theater and it's great. While Stack is getting killed by Mary, right? Cornbread, who we've met in this movie earlier, where he was working on the plantation, they hire him to be a security guard because he's a big, intimidating guy, but also kind of like a teddy bear.
He's a lovable guy.
He has to go to the bathroom, so he asks Delta Slim to watch the door for him, right? So he's gone a very long time. And then he shows back up after Stack has been murdered, and we come to find out that he is a vampire.
God dog, what happened to you, Smoke? Stack dead. Nigga, what the fuck happened to you? I'm sorry. All right, well, let me in so I can help.
Hold on.
What y'all doing? Just step aside and let me on in now.
Why you need him to do that? You big and strong enough to push past us?
Well, that wouldn't be too polite now, would it, Miss Annie? I don't know why I'm talking to you anyway. Probably your fish sandwich messed up my guts in the first place. Using old stale grease.
I ain't never used stale grease, and you know
Shut up, Annie. Smoke.
Don't talk to him. You talking to me right now. Why you can't just walk your big ass up in here without an invite, huh? Go ahead. Admit to it.
Admit to what?
That you dead.
Delta Slim just taking that swing.
Yeah. He's just like watching everything happen and like, I don't know what's about to happen now.
He shits his pants. He's like, you guys smell anything? They're like, when he's like, I think I shit my pants. It's just so good.
This is another scene that's pretty haunting, right? And we didn't hear in that little clip there, but eventually he's like, we should just be doing what we should be doing. They're like, well, what is that? And he's like, helping each other. And they're all like, what is going on with you, Cornbread? Like, something
dude, what are you
nefarious.
on?
Yeah, exactly. And this, honestly, this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire film, just because of Cornbread's performance and how haunting it is, just to keep on calling back to that, Silvia. But yeah, this is a fantastic scene. I love the writing in it. I love the direction. Everyone's playing it great. And also, too, I do love how Annie calls it out immediately, like we were talking about, right? All these strong female characters in this. She knows exactly what's fucking happening. She's like, you're dead and you're a fucking hate. Come to find out he's going to be a vampire, and she'll figure that out later. But I feel this scene is much more effective where she's calling this out, as opposed to a scene we're going to see a little bit further on in this podcast, which is one of my least favorite scenes, where she kind of redoes this, oh, you're a vampire, and then she kind of gives the rules of what they need to do. I think this is a very entertaining and fun, for how creepy it is, but very effective scene.
So in this one, you know how I always say, I don't like the tension that's coming up. Now, mind you, I've watched this scene so many times at this point, but the very first time I watch it, I literally have to watch it defensively. The tension that they build here is brought about also by the fact that Cornbread is such a freaking nice guy. You just really, really want him to be like, what's going on? My friend got attacked. Why are you guys acting so weird? You want this to be oh, it's just a cat in the background running through. It's not anything scary. But you know in your heart that it's not. You know in your heart it is definitely Cornbread is dead. He is definitely going to attack. But when, right? And so they drag out that when so long that I, of course, hated it. But it was very well done.
I find it hilarious, John, that you hate tension so much.
You know what's funny is
really
the more
good,
effective the movie is at creating tension, the more you hate it. So the more effective filmmaking it is, the more you dislike the film.
The payoff on it is really good, though, because they make it terrorizing. It's not like a little jump or anything. It's like, oh no, this is a life and death moment right now.
And it's great. They chose such a lovable character, right? To kind of feed the tension. Like, you don't want to believe that maybe he's been turned, right? I mean, he's like, you love him from the first time you see him on screen, but then even his reaction to learning that like Stack died, like he's just like, oh, that sucks. All right, well, let me in. It's like, what?
He's all about his mission at that point. He's
Exactly.
like, oh yeah, well that stinks. Well, let me in so I can help. Like, what? Like carry the body? What the fuck are you gonna do now?
It's just like, it's just a bizarre reaction.
Is this the first time we get the rule book on what a hate can do and can't do? A hate can't come into the room. Or did we hear this before, or is this the first time?
We're gonna jump into that scene right now.
These ain't hates. They're vampires.
Bo's out there. We gotta go get him. I'm the one who sent him out there.
Can't let you do that.
He needs my help.
Bo know how to handle himself. Probably got in that car and got someplace safe.
Y'all ain't gonna keep me from my husband.
Grace, we trying to keep you alive right now.
We just gotta hold up till sunrise. Okay? Now we need garlic, wood, silver, and holy water.
Shit might not kill him, but it'll slow him down. How could it move and sound like Stack if it ain't Stack?
I only ever heard stories. I ain't never come across them myself.
What stories you heard?
How Haints work. They switch places with the soul of a man. But vampires is different.
I think at this point, we're all very well versed with vampirism and the rules involving vampires. Now, I know books and other, and television shows and films have taken some like creative freedom with sort of manipulating some of the rules and stuff and adjusting them for their, creative freedom. But for the most part, I think we know garlic, wooden stake, right? Or decapitation kind of thing. We know sort of the basics, right? So I think it's it's some
Like that there's
I know the basics how to deal with a vampire.
101.
Vampirism, vampire hunting like 101, right?
I mean, how many times have you heard the line, "This might not kill him, but it'll slow him down"? Like, you hear that in like just general action movies where they're up against a creature. You hear them in vampire movies. I love this movie, but Sinners is not ever going to get away from this turn of it's not a From Dusk Till Dawn turn, right? Where it's just one thing, you have no fucking clue there's vampires, and then there's vampires, and it completely changes. They do call out an evil with the red eyes, and they kind of hint towards it from the very opening title sequence. But there's a very distinct turn, and also even with the music that we heard at the very beginning, this is like, and then it's just exposition of shit that we already know from 1,000-hour movies. I cannot help but hate this scene. I hate this scene, and this is why Sinners is a very controversial movie. People either love it or they hate it, and it's because of this tropey vampire shit. And I do think the Coogler does do it in a cool way, about the family and bringing in, the Southern racism and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's so fucking tropey that I can't help but kind of not like the last 45 minutes of this film. And I think the first half, as we all agreed, is absolutely phenomenal. I really feel like how tropey this is, it does a great disservice to this movie overall. And I think it would have had a bigger cultural impact for wider audiences had it not been so tropey, unfortunately.
I'm wondering why do you guys think that they went to vampire instead of hate, right? There's a small distinction evidently between hate and
That's
vampire.
A great point, John, because when she's explaining, right, like a hate takes over that shit is more interesting. I'm like, oh, that's good. And they're like, nope, vampires are just I'm like, you set up this whole story that's fantastic, and then we're just going to go with the tropey vampire stuff. Ryan Coogler, I forget if we played it in the first episode, but he does talk about how he always loved vampire movies. So he wanted to do a vampire movie. And I'm almost like, when people are coming up with scripts, right, they always say that, like, when you're pitching a script, you got to compare two movies. This is Jaws meets Star Wars. This is blah, blah, blah meets whatever. It's like, okay, so this is what Gone with the Wind meets Interview with Vampire, kind of. And it's like, I don't know if it works.
Yeah, I mean, again, just like you said, Kevin, it is because I think vampires were chosen because Coogler is a fan, right? I mean, he loves vampire stories, and so I can understand that. But like the hate sounds, I agree, because I've seen a lot of vampire stories. I read them, I do love them. I actually really prefer them over zombies. I'm very tired of zombies, but hate.
You're all zombied out.
I'm so zombied out.
Well, guess what? If you shoot a zombie, it might not kill him, but it'll slow him down.
It'll slow him down. Right? So it's the same line across all of these sort of monsters. Like, you have a similar idea.
Maybe that's what it is. If you shoot a hate, maybe it will stop them. So they had to switch to vampire. Maybe
it's too easy to kill a hate. I like that.
Hates are super easy to kill.
Yeah, hates are just too easy. You're like,
in order to save yourself from the hate, you have to have sex.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah, there you go. But a hate. From what she's describing it to, sounds so much like a changeling, right? And I find changelings to be really interesting. And there's definitely films about changelings out there. But every time I know there's a changeling story out there, I'm like, I kind of want to check it out, because it's always like interesting to see someone who, like she was describing the soul, right? That would be really interesting. But I do know the vampirism, though, is assimilation. So I can understand what they are supposed to represent, right? Because the thing about vampires and some of the tropes around vampires, the rules, is that they do have the hive mind. A lot more the modern vampire stories, as they do talk about the vampires now having a hive mind kind of idea, and a sort of concept to their lifestyle. So, you're basically the person who sired you, right? You have all of their information and everything that they got from all of the other people that they've sired or, fed off of. Actually, no, more just sired, I believe. I don't know if it's the ones that they feed off of and kill, but assimilating, getting all of that information. It doesn't sound like a hate is able to do that. So vampires is definitely the symbolic, the metaphor for.
So that goes to what Remick was saying earlier, where he was turning to the whole crew in the doorway there and saying, listen, you folks will never be accepted in the other world or in the white world or in the general community. You'll always be pushed away. And no matter how good you get at what you do, you'll always be pushed away, but you're welcome to our community and we'll all feel welcome. So that's, again, kind of that same kind of thing, being that that community kind of thing. So interesting that Remick is trying to form his community and the Smoke and Stack are trying to form their community. I do think, though, that I'm in agreement with you guys. I don't know anything about the hate. So you could tell me a hate has a community thing too, and I would just be like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. But we all know vampires, right? We know the majority of the rules around vampires. There are some new rules that are sort of starting to come out about, because people are trying to keep it interesting, right, and fresh. The hive mind thing it seems to be one of the newer elements that they're adding to vampires. I don't know how new, but
the other thing,
one of the more recent things I've been learning about.
The other thing we know about vampires is garlic, right? So garlic is I've seen it burns them or does something or just keeps them away. But in this movie, they decide they're all going to eat garlic. That scene drives me literally batty when I'm watching that scene.
100%. 100%. That's my second least favorite scene because they try to create tension with like, oh, I'm not good, because they're trying to figure out if any of them are actually a vampire, right? Because they find another dead body in there. And then they're like, oh, you got to eat the and Perline's like, oh, I hate garlic and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, just shut the fuck up and eat the goddamn garlic. I get that you're trying to create tension, but it's just, it's, again, like you said, John, it's just, I'm not a fan of it. It's, in my opinion, it's not a great scene. And it's unfortunately, it's caused this movie to be very polarizing. Yeah, and tropey. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, it's only like maybe 2 or 3 scenes that I think kind of rub me the wrong way, right? And not even that. It's just like I feel like, oh, we've seen the story. We don't need this. We don't need that exposition. I think we get enough of it, like, because there's so many other elements where the vampires are incorporated in the story that I actually don't mind, because I know what the vampires are supposed to represent in this film. But like, yes, the exposition, the scenes that have like full on exposition. Like eating of the garlic, right? Yeah. If it burns someone's throat, then they are a vampire, kind of thing.
Later in this movie, there's going to be a scene where, because Stack died, they end the party, they kick everyone out, and they don't know vampires are out there. So obviously Remick and his trio feast on everybody out there. So now they have a giant group of vampires, right? And like you were talking about, John, is that, that we've all been talking about is about family, right? Is that he wants to create his own family, but also who is allowed in his family? Black people, but also KKK members. Like it almost diminishes the family aspect, that he's so welcoming that he'll welcome you if you're a piece of shit too. So it's like, at that point, does it really have any meaning?
He doesn't have much of a selection. His bar for like who he wants in his family is quite low.
If you're a human, he'll take you. You can be part of the family.
You're just still alive. Great.
So, yeah.
So
breathing. It's like, it's almost that thing where you feel a lot of empathy when he's doing his little ruse, right? Where he's trying to manipulate his way into a situation. You're like, wow, you're very convincing. I have empathy for you. But at the end of the day, he's just manipulating it because he has his own wants and desires. And it's almost like a cult leader, right? He'll take fucking anybody because he just wants to get the more cult members in his little crew. He just wants power, really, right? And also it's a legacy too, because you live on through the people that you sire into this vampirism.
Yeah, I guess with that Borg mentality or vampire mentality, that you're a part of the collective and they're a part of you. So you go into your community the same way. So
community and the hive mind will give us our next scene, the Rocky Road music scene, which is our biggest musical scene of the film, and it's very well shot, and we're going to dive into that right now.
The Rocky Road to Dublin is a 19th century Irish folk song detailing a young man's tumultuous, humorous journey from rural County Galway to Liverpool, England, in search of fortune. So it signifies the difficult, rocky experiences of an economic migrant, including being robbed, mocked for his accent, and sleeping in a cargo hold. It's a significant tune to be using in Sinners.
As we said before, this is the largest musical scene that we have, probably about 30 people dancing along with Remick. It's a very beautiful scene, and all the music in this is so catchy, even the ones that are pretty haunting and eerie. And we have executive producer Rebecca Cho talking about putting this scene together.
The night that we shot the Rocky Road scene with our vampires, it had rained earlier in the day and it had muddied our entire set. We were all worried we might not be able to do what we needed to do because we had dancers who needed to dance in this mud and musicians who had to play instruments, and all of our actors. I think it was the first day that our entire cast was on set together.
Well, in the merry month of May, from me home I started, left the girls of Germany, broken-hearted salute to Father dear.
Okay, yeah, it was a Saturday night. The air is getting hot, everyone's kind of in the mood, and we were going to be working through the night. And it was just amazing, just a massive production. They were going to shoot it in an amazing way. Just everything about it just felt tribal. So by that point, you're really kind of thinking, this is transcending. It's like, I feel like I'm in a sub-reality. Well, that's the amazing thing about this job. Sometimes you get that feeling. Every now and then you get to this amazing place with your work, and the collaborative effort that's required to get there, and when it comes off, it's a drug.
And that was our lead villain and vampire actor, Jack O'Connell, talking about what it was like shooting that scene, along with executive producer Rebecca Cho.
You know what? I love that scene. It like gives me goosebumps too. I think it's because of the historical context of the song, and the significance of him singing it, and then obviously in his Irish accent. Like, this is where we really start to understand how old Remick is. You know, he's not from the South. He is an Irishman and was colonized, not to mention not just colonized, but then turned, right? So there's just a lot of shit that happened to this man.
Did you like Remick's ability to dance?
Oh, I loved it. I thought that was great.
Yeah, do you think he got trained at that, do you think?
I think there was definitely some training. I think, did he know a little bit of it and then just like had to like perfect some of the steps or something? I don't know. Do we have
some information? We have some information. He had been trained from the age of 6, and he won several trophies. But it had been about 20 years since he had actually like competed and so forth. So he was kind of got retrained, but obviously he did very well right away. You could see that he had the talent in him.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows you all of these actors. I mean, talking about him being such a good singer and then also a great dancer. And then you have Sammy being a first-time actor, but like a prodigy musician. They have Michael B. Jordan, who won Best Actor. Like, you have so many talented people, and also Ryan Coogler for winning Best Screenwriter. So much talent went into this film, and also Arkapaw, who won Best Cinematography. This is just an ensemble of amazing filmmakers, and it's another reason why I honestly hate the tropes in this film.
I do think it's really cool that he's not a singer or a dancer, but throughout this movie, he sings and dances the whole time. Not the whole time, but like many scenes, he's very physical with his body language as well. So
yeah, it's a very
cool
musical character.
So now we have Remick, and not his musical trio, his ensemble symphony of vampires. And they approach the juke joint again, and they try to convince the people inside the juke joint to not only let them in, but to just join them in their vampire community.
I am your way out. This world already left you for dead. Won't let you build. Won't let you fellowship. We will do just that. Together. Forever.
It's better this way, baby. So why don't you go ahead and invite us in?
You should listen to him, Grace, or listen to me. Because I know everything he knows now. And I want you to let us in there. Or we gonna go to the grocery store. We gonna pay little Lisa a visit.
No, don't you fucking dare!
Oh, yeah, Grace, I know everything now. Ngoi yo, e toile, siung woi ki hoyong si hot le, ngoi yen sen le, ngoi gao koi ai le.
So this is where what gets brought up again is fellowship and love, right? It's one of the first things that Remick promises, one of the first times we meet him. And now, as Kevin, you were saying, his ensemble, his symphony, we're all saying the same thing. Like, come join us. We all know each other's we know everything about each other. We share, again, we have the hive mind, and life is so much better. Look how much better life can be in a community of fellowship and love.
And Mary has such a great line further in the scene where she goes, I know it might sound bad, but after we kill y'all, it's going to be heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's a pretty eerie line from our...
It's pretty fucked up. I know, but it's very strong.
Here.
That delivery is great.
Another part of this movie I really don't like is it does the tropish thing where they're all in there. There's terrible vampires outside. And so they go to the crew of like 40 or 50 people in the room and say, hey, everybody leave. Everybody go outside. And of course, that is your current orchestra outside is who you just sent out there. So yeah, their entire community, literally the people that are in that horde of people are now are their community. That's the community that they invited there for that evening. And now their community is all literally outside.
Well, they didn't know technically that they were vampires yet, right? Because Annie doesn't call it out, or at least that they're Haints, until Cornbread tries to get back in, which is after Stack gets killed, and then they kick everybody out.
The audience knew.
That's
audience
true.
sure knew.
The audience knew. So if we're talking about the audience is aware, right? Yeah. We know a little bit more than our characters.
I mean, it's just like any other horror movie where you go, I don't know, let's just go outside and find out. Like, we're the audience. We know going outside to find out is the worst thing that you could possibly do. And so anyway, that's where it's tricky.
It's like, going down the stairs to a dark basement. You're like, let me just go check it out. It's like, no, you don't go check it out alone.
But I heard a noise down there. We have to check out the noise.
Yes. What do you guys think about the Mandarin that he speaks in there?
Well, I think it's the creepiest part here because in this particular scene is because it's not her husband actually speaking Mandarin. It is Remick. So Remick has taken on as her husband because they all share the same information now. And hence why the threat of going to find Lisa, right? Because now Remick knows who Lisa is and where she lives.
And he knows deeply personal things about their relationship as well.
Oh yeah. Let's not mention the actually thing that is spoken in Mandarin is, yes, it's a very private sexual moment shared between a husband and wife, or now Remick now. So
this movie did do a nice job of making things deeply personal, right? Not just like surface, like I know you have a daughter. No, I know some very specific details. So it made it much more invasive, right? To have the world or your whole hive mind now know everything about your deepest emotional bonds with your closest friend or your closest lover.
And some people love that and some people don't, right? Like the thing about living in a small community is that everybody knows each other and everybody knows each other's business. And I think when we talk about the way people live today, the hyper independence, the hyper sort of isolation, is that everyone feels like a stranger. Some people feel like a stranger even to themselves. But if you were to join this fellowship of love here, this vampire community, you'll never feel alone. But you'll never feel like an individual either.
I think I know who Silvia would go with. Would Silvia go outside? Silvia would have gone out with the first crew. Like, are there any vampires out here?
I'd be like, this is a really nice song. I like this.
You guys
I like this
seem
music.
cool.
Yes, this is cool.
One thing that isn't tropey about these vampire scenes, which John brought up a few moments ago, was the animal effect that we're having in the eyes of these vampires, where you're seeing that shine and kind of the red and glowingness to them. And all of that was actually done practically using contact lenses. And we're going to hear more about that now.
A very early conversation I had with Ryan, he talked about something called tapetum lucidum, which is the reflective quality that you'll see in animals' eyes sometimes at night. Like a cat will look like it has glowing eyes. So he wanted to do this in the vampires, and I thought it would be really cool to do that practically with a contact lens, but no one's ever done that before. The only person I could think of that would be worth asking something like that is Christina Patterson. And Christina came back and said that she's actually been secretly working on developing that exact effect in a contact lens for a long time now, and that she's just at the cusp of perfecting it. She had these reflective lenses that actually bounce light back, and it looked amazing. It looked beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
The makeup is one of the highlights of this film. Also, I mean, when you see like Cornbread's face like blown off from the gunshot wound, and then you see the teeth and all of the effects that were put into all the bite marks and stuff, I do think that really does stand out from other vampire films that, you know, obviously we've seen vampire bites and special effects many other times before, but the way that these moved naturally, especially with Cornbread and stuff, I think it was pretty masterful how they did that. And we're going to hear more from a special effects makeup and prosthetic makeup designer, Mike Fontaine.
The process for me always starts with the script and initial images that come to mind, and we work together to really find a point of view for what the designs will be. I'll usually create something and show him, and he'll come back with an idea. And once we hone that in, the process turns into drawing and painting and sculpting and designing. And that process takes several months. Once he signs off on the sculpture, it goes to New York, and there's an amazing team that works around the clock to make molds and to cast these pieces into silicone that then will be brought to set in New Orleans. One of the challenges of this film in particular is that there is such a large cast, and almost everyone in the cast goes through some form of transformation or injury. Everyone has to go through a very elaborate process of all of this stuff being built and being made custom for each character. And keeping track of the continuity of what happens between all these injuries in the course of one night and then filming out of order is really challenging.
I know that Kevin and Silvia have worked on horror shorts before, and the movie makeup is really tricky because you have to make it look unobvious. You have to make it not seem like, oh, look at, they've got a prosthetic thing on their face. And just looking at all of the faces that they had in that scene where you could see the actual actor. It wasn't like, oh, we had a mannequin head and we put this prosthetic on it. It was actually the actor's face and how it was going to be looking. And during the show, they did a really nice job of having you not be overly focused on the special effects, even though they'd have a cut on their arm or slices on their face. I mentioned it in our first episode about this. It's kind of fun to watch behind the scene where the actors got scars on their face and they're just walking around. But there's some actors with much more prosthetic, like Cornbread had a dramatic prosthetic on his face, but it was also explained in the movie why it was that way. Other than that, you didn't know Cornbread had died until he gets shot in the face while he's a vampire. So it's really cool to see the detail they put in it and how unimportant it was. How it wasn't like, oh, let's marvel at the special effects. It was just a background element that just made you really feel like you're a part of the scene because it was so nonchalant.
Most of the films I've seen with practical effects, I would say probably about 90% of the times look a lot better than CGI. It's actually quite amazing. It's more labor, but there's like more love, and it's tactile. You're molding, literally working with molds, right? And I keep thinking about American Werewolf in London, like that werewolf transformation scene, there is nothing like it. They went with CGI in part 2 and it was just shit. And I think of Sinners and I see what they were able to do with these transformations, and they were beautiful, like scary, not overwhelming. Like you were saying, John, it doesn't take you out. Like you're not just like focused on it and distracted by it. You're like, this is part of the evolution of this character. This is what happened to this character, So
the evolution of special effects also, you just said something, and this is going to be a great hot take to put out there on socials. The movie The Thing, I think the special effects are horrible. So great, throw that out there on social. They'll be persecuted all over town. But compared to this movie, they've come so far. We don't have like puppets crawling across the floor or anything like in The Thing. I know a lot of people love The Thing. Obviously, number one, it's a horror movie. I didn't like it. But number two,
and there's a lot of tension.
And it's all tension. The whole movie is nothing but tension. But the special effects also really kind of took me out of it because it was, again, I've been there and done
I mean,
those
for
things.
today, yes. Like it's definitely, you can see where, you're like, all right, it's definitely a little dated. But at the time when that came out, that was revolutionary when the thing came out. Like those special effects were pretty scary for audiences.
Here you go. The movie The Thing should have had more CGI. Use that, print that.
Oh my God.
So,
Man, John, you're going to make some enemies in the...
I've got some real enemies now.
Oh, man. But yeah, I think the main thing, right, is that both of you touched on, it keeps you inside the movie, and the less it draws your attention away from the emotional tone, whatever that might be, that's happening in the scene. And we're going to see next is the scene where Annie is killed, and she is begging Smoke to kill her because she asked if she was going to be turned, that she'd be killed beforehand. And these emotional through lines, I think, are very powerful in this film. But let's dive into that scene now.
No.
Elijah, you promised me. I'll see you soon.
How old are you?
Annie!
No! No! Let's go! Let's go! Come on! Smoke. We gotta get the boy at the backstairs out of here. Come on, Smoke. Come on now. Up the steps. Go ahead.
I'm out!
I'm out too. Sammy. Let's go.
Sammy.
Go. Like what I told you.
Come on.
Go. Y'all go. Go.
The thing that I really love about that scene is what we talked about before, right? Where Remick is talking about family. It seems very sincere, but Remick, whenever he's manipulating his situation, he's always seeming sincere, and he'll take anyone to his family. But here we have Mary, who was taken in unwillingly, but she's embracing this idea that, if people get turned, they get to live forever together in a family, right? It's almost the actual full realization of what Remick is promising, but it's without that evil intent, right? And I love the emotional through line here of Mary seeming so incredibly distraught, along with Stack, when they realize that Mary is not going to be able to continue with them in their afterlife.
Yeah, she's taken away literally from them. Like, I mean, they were so close to inviting her to the family, loving someone forever, like literally until, and you feel that pain. And that is the thing. And that is that's Mary's genuine pain, because so outside of the hive, it seems like what we're gathering here is that there's still some individuality that these vampires have. So, because it's Mary's own feelings, all these little moments, they just reveal a little bit more of what sort of how these vampires work, and obviously what the definition of community and family is.
I think the writing here is what's personified in the fact that you understand this character is not a two-dimensional character. The murder or death of this person is brutal on both the murderer and the murderee, or the victim, where you also understand it's a compassionate act. And all these characters that are the 6 or 7 the few characters that are left, them all. Like, that they're not just like, oh yeah, that's the local hobo. No, this is a person who's got a real serious background and has real intent, and like you said, writing strong female characters, giving them more than just, this is a person that's here to push the story forward in this way or that way. So this movie does a really nice job of giving each character something to live for, something to stand for, and the background that we actually feel. This death is a good death. It's actually a positive thing, and you wish she didn't die, but you actually understand, wow, she gets released from this whole nightmare.
It's the death she wanted, right? She was granted her wish, which is unlike all the others. They were forced into this.
And then we get this scene mirrored, right, with Smoke and Stack and the fight that they're going to have.
Sorry I couldn't keep you safe. Don't be sorry. You always did.
I love the callback that's happening in that scene. For those listeners that were not watching the video version of this, at the very beginning, Smoke and Stack are tussling around, and Stack is trying to actively bite Smoke, but what's protecting him, Sylvia?
It is very brief in this particular scene, but he is wearing the mojo bag. So it is a little like a sachet of some herbs that his estranged wife, as we see earlier in the film, gave to him essentially as a departing gift before he left originally, right before he started to work with the Irish and the Italian gangs, going to Chicago. And upon his return, when he went to go visit his wife again earlier in the scene, she replenishes that mojo bag. So it is full of fresh protection right there. So basically, Stack can't get through to him. You literally see him trying to bite, reach at the neck, and he just keeps being pushed away. Like there is definitely a barrier.
The relationship arc here, right, is what is the gift that Smoke gave Annie in this previous scene? He killed her, right? Even though obviously he did not want to. And then this lingering gift, who she even says, how do you not know that possibly my mojo bag is the thing that kept you safe? It's almost buttoning up the relationship there, but we will have one scene later in this film that really connects their relationship. And I think Ryan Coogler did a fantastic job writing all of the relationships in this film.
You can shoot Michael twice, or we're now in a world where you can employ a machine learning based approach and basically recreate a CG head of Michael and put him onto somebody else's body. Machine learning needs to understand the face of the body double, because our body double laughing can look completely different to Michael laughing. So we need to film the body double and Michael, the source and the target, going through as many different facial performance and expressions as possible.
We had to make sure that we were capturing a fully comprehensive data set of Michael B. Jordan's face. So we employed a bespoke custom facial capture rig that we dubbed the Halo rig. The Halo rig itself is a carbon fiber ring mounted on actors' shoulders. Contains 10 action cameras positioned so we get a full 360 capture of the performers' faces, all of their emotion, all of their facial detail. And all of that information helps us create a really accurate and true-to-life recreation in the scenes. Fundamental to the Halo rig is that it's mobile. So after we'd filmed principal plates for a twinning shot, we could fly it straight in, put it on Michael B. Jordan's shoulders, and he would then be able to repeat the performance against one of his stand-ins or body doubles in a B-side to that take. That information informed the digital recreation of Michael's face that could then be applied to his body double when we do digital face replacements.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
It's so seamless. I thought they were like literally just doing 2 shots, and using a body double for each, but they did all of the tech in here so beautifully.
Can you imagine carrying that around, like wearing that and just trying to act? How do you even move?
You're doing that back to back, right? Which is so impressive. Is that, Michael B. Jordan, I watched another one where he was talking about when he was playing one of the characters, he wore like tighter shoes, but it would be like a 20 or 30 minute, wardrobe change and all the stuff. It's like, man, what a freaking task for an actor to be like, oh, not only are you the lead, you're a double lead in this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of water to carry up the hill, so to speak.
Honestly, he deserves Best Actor. He really,
100%.
This was crazy amount of work.
There's acting, and there's acting with your head in a box, and there's acting with a halo on your head, and having to just play this make-believe world. I can't imagine all the people just watching him going like, I would feel so insecure having this giant contraption on me, acting these scenes out, going, is this movie going to be any good?
Agreed. And now we're finally near the end of this film where we're going to have Preacher Boy, Sammy, and our main villain, Remick.
You will taste the sweet pain of death. We will make beautiful music together.
who shows up to save the day? Smoke.
But the sun's rising too. Look, I see in the picture there, the sun is rising just
yes,
a little
it
bit.
is.
What did you all think about the fact that he was struck in the head with a guitar?
The music that he was trying to essentially gain the knowledge of literally ends up destroying him, right? The actual instrument becomes an instrument of death.
Two parts of that, right? He really wanted that music, right? And he got it. The weapon that Preacher Boy had was his music. Both visually cool. I think when you're making a film, you always look for something that's so visually cool, which is a guitar in the head or a silver guitar in the head, but also metaphorical to me. I do like that you guys thought, yeah, he was wanting that part of the music, and yeah, he eventually got the guitar in the head, so it's not exactly how he wanted it. But I thought of it on the other side, where Preacher Boy used his instrument to cause the damage that he wanted to cause.
It's funny because the instrument itself, actually, the origins, right? You think actually come from evil, right? Because of it's supposed to be Smoke and Stack's father's band. It's a guitar, and so it really is kind of like an instrument of evil. This thing that, but ultimately evil on evil, like destroying itself.
Ooh.
It just ends up canceling. This musical instrument that can create this so much beauty and brings harmony and people together, and then you literally throw it slam it into someone's head.
Yeah.
And you can make beautiful music with that as well.
Remick, he's always putting on a front. So for me, Jack's normal face is the mask. And the makeup, the prosthetics, it's not adding something to his face, it's taking away. So it was all about peeling back the layers of what Remick is. So I wanted to almost excavate the vampire, that his face is being torn away. Even though makeup is an additive process, we're trying to create the illusion that it's subtractive. And as the film goes on, the facade breaks down more and more and more until the end we see what he really is, which is something that's barely human at all.
Yeah. He has a wonderful way of describing this.
Yeah, not only like the technical skill of making all this stuff look great, but like the philosophy behind it, right? Like when I heard that it was really revealing his true self, and it's almost like Clark Kent, right? Where like his disguise, as Tarantino points out in Kill Bill, his disguise is Clark Kent. He is Superman usually. And what is Remick? Remick, when he's trying to be a regular human, that's his disguise, because he is actually a vampire. And I'm like, wow, it just speaks to the talent on this film. We're going to say it 100 times, but damn, a lot of talented people put a lot of fucking effort into this film, and it shows.
Yeah.
So with all this amazing art that these guys are doing, the fact that they thought about all these tiny details, but also kind of going back to the fact that all these characters are so two-dimensional, that it makes the next few scenes, and we won't go into all the details of all the things that happen, but we have kind of a conclusive scene where Smoke and Hogwood rekindle their friendship, if you will. So
what a beautiful way to put that, John.
Such a beautiful friendship.
It's just this really moment of finality for Smoke, and for much more than Smoke. Like even characters that are no longer in the film, there's a finality that comes to this scene. It really brings everything back together so nicely. Very, very full of action, but it's also full of emotion because the characters are so two-dimensional.
And I think in that scene too, in particular, you see a few things that harken back to the beginning of the film as well, right? As Smoke is sort of setting up his sort of rendezvous with his friend.
Ambush.
Yeah.
Ambush, yeah.
As he's preparing, as he's getting out all of the guns and sort of like the booby traps kind of around the juke joint, we see him like have this moment of calm, right? Where he's trying to roll his cigarette, right? And trying to smoke it. And the hand is shaking, right? Again, we harken back to the very first time we meet the brothers, is that Smoke trauma, the PTSD from the war. His hands shake, right? Like when he's looking at his watch in the very first moment we see him, he literally has to hold his hand with his other hand to keep it still. And so it was always Stack that would be taking care of Smoke. right? Like lighting his cigarettes, rolling them, making him seem normal, right? Kind of letting him go about life. And now he doesn't have Stack there to do that, to help him. He's doing it on his own. But the confrontation between the two of them in the juke joint, I think is a big representation here in this moment, the climax here, right? With the barn.
It's real quick note. It's not in the juke joint. It's outside the juke joint.
Yes. This is all happening outside the juke joint. But the thing about the juke joint is that when the KKK does show up, it's locked. Why is it locked? Right? What is Smoke trying to protect at this point? Is it the sanctity of the memory of this community? Right? Is it the memory of the juke joint, of the friends, of the family there? And does it even go beyond that? Is Smoke protecting Stack? Is Stack and Mary in there? This is the thing. Like they can't be exposed to sunlight. It's daylight.
Silvia, I've watched this movie almost a dozen goddamn times, and I did not pick up on that. Yes. Yeah. What a great segue to the there's so many great layers and bookends to this film. That's honestly blowing my mind right now, Silvia. I never picked up on that because come to find out, they never show Smoke killing Stack, right? They allude to it, right? But then what do? There is a mid-credits sequence where we get a final bookend where we find out not only is Mary alive, but Stack is also alive. And Sammy is now an old man. He's playing inside a blues joint. We don't know where, but it's inside some city. And he's an old man at this point. And he's played by the legendary musician Buddy Guy. But holy shit, Silvia, you just blew my mind. But let's dive into that scene now.
Oh. I guess I was one person he just couldn't kill. He made me promise to stay away from you. Let you live out your life. Won't be long for you, huh? I could make it so you could stick around. Keep touring. Keep living. No pain.
I think I've seen enough of this place.
This movie is such a seesaw thing for me where I'm like, there's moments where I fucking love, there's moments that I really hate that I feel affect the entire film, but then there's masterful, like mid-credit scenes that are pivotal to this film, which are just so good. And further down this scene where they start talking about the day that all of this happened, because this all happens within a 24-hour period, other than this scene, obviously. And Preacher Boy says, that was the best day of his entire life. And what does Stack say back to him? He goes, same with mine. And it's like, man, what a emotional through point that they have with all these characters. Like, goddamn, what a great film.
Yeah. And I do think that like ultimately Smoke did protect and did, this is the whole thing. The last confrontation they had is that, Smoke says, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. And he's like, don't worry, you always did. And I think the last gesture for Smoke was honestly, I think he was protecting him at the very end, even against like the KKK, keeping him alive. Like he just let them live their lives as vampires. And as long as he could keep the promise, and he did. So there's still a goodness in him. He can keep a promise. Like that's going to kind of hold him to his word, which is a pretty big deal, I think, for a vampire, because usually like they're so manipulative. Like, how do you believe anything that they say? And
I do have a different point of view on that final scene.
What, John? That's outrageous.
I kind of feel that juke joint was sacred ground. I do, maybe there were vampires in there, maybe there wasn't. But to me, I think the souls that were lost in that building were souls that were lost to the hands of the KKK long ago. And the souls that were lost during this, to Remick and to his vampire group. So to me, I felt that when the reason that the barn was closed up was so that no KKK person would die in that sacred place. It's like that was like an Indian burial ground, or a specific place that, hey, the lives that were lost here do not want to be mixed with the lives that were lost of the people that were taking those lives. So to me, he was keeping it sacred.
I agree. Hence the whole locking of the barn. I mean, I think whatever was in there afterwards, but I do agree it was the sanctity of that space. That space was totally sacred to them. And quite honestly, of course he does not want 1 foot of any of those KKK members to basically step on that floor again. The fact, this is why the floor mentioned in the beginning of the film is so important. Again, we go back to, hey, what'd you do with these floors? Or did you just wash these floors? Why? What the hell was on it? It's like already starting to get us ready, right? It's the foreshadowing that the floors are going to mean something later. And we do, right? There's bloodshed on it and everything. But the fact is, the only bloodshed there will be the sacred bloodshed of family and friends and the sanctity and that sort of respect that you have to the music and to the community. And the KKK can't take that away from them.
All right, for our final clip here, I want to play a clip from Remick, actor Jack O'Connell, and he's going to talk about who the audience for this film is.
The first thing I said to Ryan in our meeting on Zoom, having read the script for the first time, I asked him, who's the audience? And he just says, I want everybody to go and see this. I mean, obviously, there's, there is a limit to that, but he says everybody, and I feel like I know what he means now. Youngsters can go and watch this film and discover stuff about a genre of music that perhaps didn't know too well. Your older ones can go and see this wonderful depiction on how blues music was formed and how people congregated. And I really do think it's across the board. I think the audience for this potentially could be very vast. That's one thing he said to me on the initial meeting, and now I know what he means.
And what a great segue into our final reviews. This is where each of us give this film a 1 to 10 rating and give our take on where we landed with the film. Now, Silvia, why don't you go first?
I love this film. And I know it's not a perfect film, as we've talked about. I think all three of us agreed that the first half of this film is just absolute perfection, right? We could just watch it over and over again, and I feel like I have. I think I've seen the first half of this film at least 6 times. So, and I have watched the second half quite a few times as well. The second half loses me, I think, with some of the exposition regarding vampires and the rules around vampires, because it does feel like we know a lot of this stuff. We don't really need to be told a lot of this. So that is where I would say that the film kind of falls apart for me. But, it doesn't ding it that much, because honestly, the characters are so amazing. The performances are so amazing. Everything about this film, the music, the cinematography, my God, the color grading in this film, it's, and honestly, even just like the story itself, the cultural impact is, it just like blows me away. I just like haven't seen anything like this. So even for some of the issues I have with the film itself, with the story, I give this an 8.5. So that is 8.5 for me. I do love Sinners.
I do love Sinners.
I do love Sinners. I love Sinners. They're my favorite.
I love Sinners. Don't you? Everybody loves Sinners.
Yeah. So, I mean, John or Kevin, who wants to go next? Who wants to
John,
share?
I feel like John should go next.
Kev's going to set me up here. All right. So we've actually kind of recorded this podcast a couple of times because of different issues and things, but we've watched this movie now. I'm going to tell you, I think I've watched it at least 10 times, if not more. And I hate scary movies. I don't dislike them. I really hate them. So the very first time I watched this through, I'm going to tell you I did not like it. And I'm going to tell you that should be seen as a compliment. I'm hoping that whoever's listening to this, that they worked on the amazing lighting and the amazing artistry of the makeup and the timing and the editing, and like, wow, that guy gave us a terrible rating. That's awesome, because I hate, if you did a scary movie and I give it a good review, I'd be surprised. I'm going to give it my number. I'm going to try and explain it. 4.4 is what I did, what I said, but I told you guys this before. It's hard for me because I am in love with the colors. I'm in love with the lighting. I'm in love with the acting. I'm in love with a lot of things. It becomes very tropey as soon as the scary comes in. But also, unfortunately, I in the early parts of this movie, I'm like, okay, where's the scary coming in? So the very first time watching it through, I could not enjoy the beauty of the scenes as much because I was always waiting for something horrible to happen. Having watched it so freaking many times now, I've been able to really, really settle in and love those sections with the lighting. In some of the tropey sections we talked about where they're all sitting around doing the garlic talk, which I think was just, I wish to God they hadn't done that scene at all. But the scene work is beautiful. Like they're in this very amber hue and little haze happening and so beautifully shot. So at the end of the day, 4.4 is about as good as I'm ever going to get, I think, on a scary movie. So kudos to you guys. And Michael B. Jordan was just phenomenal. It surprised me. I really actually haven't seen him in too many other things, but he did a fantastic work.
He's amazing. I got to tell audience, like that's a really great review for Mr. John Mostich
for that
horror
kind of
film.
movie. I'm usually hovering about 2 and a half if I'm lucky. But yeah, I mean, if it were just the horror part, I would have ranked it much, much lower. But the beauty of the characters and the scene work, the lighting, just so sublime.
Yeah.
Kevin. Now Kevin's the interesting in between here, right? Kevin?
Yeah.
Kevin's got the love hate.
I am. Yeah,
He
you know,
might,
it's
he might
funny.
change his rating right as we speak.
As we're talking, he's like, you know what?
Are you doing some hive mind shit with me?
I'm hive minding you, baby.
You know, one of the things that stinks about going last, especially doing this podcast and, you know, co-hosting this with such cinephiles that are very articulate, and we usually have differing opinions between the three of us. So I feel like you both spoke and touched so many things that I completely agree with. I've watched this a dozen times too, you know, probably the beginning part more than the ending part.
Yeah.
I love the characters in this. I love the screenplay. Honestly, it does fall apart like both of you have talked about in some of the tropey stuff. I wish there were a couple scenes that were not in there, but how much of a cultural phenomenon this film is. This film was an original IP. It had a $90 million budget. It was from someone who was coming off of 2 superhero movies, mind you. Like, this is a Hollywood blockbuster director, even though he started, you know, doing Fruitvale Station, these other dramas that were great. He is coming off of Hollywood blockbusters. This is a black filmmaker that was given $90 million to do an original film where he is going to not only write, but he's going to direct. And what is he going to do? He's going to choose a supporting actor who has never fucking acted before. Like, holy shit. Like, I am so fucking thrilled that Ryan Coogler was given the reins and had enough hierarchy in the Hollywood studio system to be able to go out and make this. I think it's really a testament to, if you're a great filmmaker, you can go crazy far. And honestly, I think he's going to end up being one of the Christopher Nolans, where if he keeps on doing these original IP films, I think it's going to be fantastic. He's going to be one of the best directors that ever lived. That said, like Silvia said, it is not a perfect film. There are parts I definitely do not like about it. But overall, I do feel that this film is picture of the year for me. But, which I talked about at the very beginning, if I had not done the deep dive that we had to do for these podcasts, and like John said, we re-recorded this a couple times just for, you know, we recorded about 6 months ago and then got nominated for all these things. We had some tech issues. So the amount of work that I put in to understand the layers of this film, and also Silvia talking about how the juke joint is locked at the very end. There's so many fucking things that I feel like I still have not caught on to this film. It's so layered. I'm going to say this film is an 8.2. An 8.2.
Ooh, that's better than I thought it was going to be.
That surprised me, Kevin, because I thought you were more leaning to, you were like you know,
6s
some of your
and 7s.
It was a 7.8, I want to say, when we first did the podcast about 5 months ago. But that's my take, 8.2.
Before you go on, you said it's your picture of the year in your mind.
Yeah.
I might even say, even where I'm rating it, I might say it's picture of the year for me just because of I have a number of issues with the other, even though I might rate the other movies higher for enjoyment level. Because I go by, did I enjoy the movie? Not is it a great movie? But I think it probably is best picture of the year.
For artistry, right? Like essentially just because it is.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Like maybe it's not perfect, right? Like I said, right? It's not perfect film. There's definitely pockets where some of the exposition I could have, I didn't really need, right, about the vampires. But the artistry of this film, the cinematic sort of scope, and like honestly, just the choices and like some of the chances they took with some of these like choices. It's everyone involved is literally at the top of their game. Like everyone is so talented from cast to crew. Like it really blows my mind, honestly. It just when I first saw this film, it took me a long time. I had to sit in the theater like alone for a little bit. I was like really processing it because the combination of the music and the storytelling, the cultural significance, the historical significance. I've never seen anything like this. Like Kevin, you're saying, this is so original. Everything about this film is just so original. So, mad props to Ryan Coogler, really. He conducted all of this, right? So, in speaking of Ryan Coogler, here at Is It Streaming, we might not agree on everything, but we do choose one cast or crew member we all agree should be recognized for their work on each film. This week, we're choosing to spotlight Ryan Coogler. Not a big surprise, right, guys? Super mad
He's
talent
fantastic.
right there.
Great work.
Ryan Coogler stands as one of the defining cinematic voices of his generation, a filmmaker whose work moves effortlessly between the intimate and the epic, where personal stories unfold against vast cultural landscapes. Born in Oakland, California, his storytelling is rooted in place, memory, and lived experience, grounding even his most ambitious visions in emotional truth. He first emerged with Fruitvale Station back in 2013, a quiet yet devastating debut that captured the final 24 hours of Oscar Grant's life. Through a deeply human lens, Coogler transformed a tragic headline into something immediate and unforgettable, announcing a director unafraid to confront reality with empathy and precision. What followed was a rare ascent. With Creed, back in 2015, he revitalized the legendary Rocky franchise, infusing the spin-off with urgency and soul. Then came Black Panther in 2018, a cultural landmark that redefined the scope of blockbuster filmmaking. And Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, back in 2022, a poignant continuation shaped by loss and legacy. Across these works, Coogler's themes remain constant: identity, race, community, woven into stories that resonate far beyond the screen. At the heart of his journey is his enduring collaboration with Michael B. Jordan. What began with Fruitvale Station has evolved into one of modern cinema's most vital creative partnerships, built on trust, shared ambition, and a commitment to telling stories that matter. In 2025, Coogler reached a new creative apex with Sinners, a genre-defining supernatural drama that blurred the lines between myth and reality. The film became an awards season force, earning a record 16 Academy Award nominations and winning 4. Coogler claimed his first Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, while Jordan took home Best Actor. The film's impact extended behind the camera as well, with Ludwig Göransson winning for Best Original Score and Autumn Durald Arkapaw making history with her cinematography win. With Sinners, Coogler didn't just achieve critical acclaim. He completed a decade-long evolution from independent filmmaker to industry-shaping auteur, proving that bold, personal storytelling can thrive at any scale. And still, his story continues with a reimagining of The X-Files on the horizon and a third Black Panther film in development. Coogler remains in motion, pushing forward, expanding the language of cinema, and redefining what it means to tell stories that endure.
And speaking of enduring, I'd like to thank all of our viewers and listeners for joining us along this long and arduous journey, our first two-parter of the Is It Streaming podcast. And I really appreciate everyone sticking through to the end. And Sylvia, John, you got any last things for our listeners?
I think this was worth a two-parter. I think we kind of tried to do it as a single, but there's just so many important things about this movie that, even though I didn't give it a great rating overall, but there's a lot of really great acting and directing and cinematography and everything. So it was worth a two-parter. I hope people agree.
I love this film. I hope that the audience is enjoying it just as much. I hope that you find what we're saying fun and exciting and insightful. And also, like, if you disagree, that's also wonderful as well. So
they all agree with me that the thing could use more CGI. I think that's established.
And listeners, that's our show. I'd like to thank everyone for listening and watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please tune in to our next episode where we discuss another movie from the endless queue. And please tell a friend about our podcast and like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode of Is It Streaming?
You've been listening to the Is It Streaming podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, like and subscribe on your podcast channel of choice. Be sure to leave a review worthy of Siskel and Ebert, and share episodes with your friends, family, and the cinephiles in your life. Is It Streaming is part of the Writer's Bone podcast network, founded by yours truly, Daniel Ford. In addition to our flagship show, Writer's Bone, the network features Film Freaks Forever, As Told To, the Ghostwriting Podcast, The Thoughtful Bro, and the Movie Loft Podcast. Sensing a theme? Writing and storytelling are in our DNA. Go to writersbone.com to learn more. Once again, thanks for listening. See you next time.